Hi all, good morning. How are you? Thanks a lot for the kind words in my introduction. So let me start today's session with a story about two teams that I worked with in the past. They both had the same challenge. The campaign A that they worked on was not working as desired. And they both were given the same challenge to resolve it, same budget, same amount of time, same resources, and the same AI tool. The team A asked them their own AI tool. They dumped all the data they had. And the AI tool they asked was that, why did this campaign fail? Why did it not deliver what we are expecting it to deliver? And AI tool, after a lot of research and analysis, after deep research, came back and said that there is a low engagement among consumers of age group 25 to 34. And therefore, you should up the investment for those groups. They did that, and the campaign performed like 8% better than before. I would say incremental return, nothing breakthrough. Team B, on the other hand, they asked the same AI tool with the same set of data that what cultural factors are we missing? What hypotheses we are missing out here? What could be different ways we could drive this campaign better? And all open-ended questions that you could think of. And then AI tool revealed that the slogan, which was working very well in many other countries, the slogan was best be at your best, which worked very well in individualistic countries. It was not working well in this country, which is collective in nature. And that was the game changer. The moment you have this insight, which we call aha factors, they went back to their own campaign, pivoted the campaign towards community value, family value, and result was transformational. It was 3 times engagement rate than before. Now you can see here the same AI tool, same data, same resources, same timelines, but very distinct result, very different result. And that is really the theme of today, which I'm going to talk here. The difference between using AI to complete your task versus using AI to transform your learning is going to determine everything about your future. So with that, a little bit about me. I don't need to go deeper. We already heard a lot about me, so I'll skip this slide. And with that, I go to the core theme here, and I want to talk about the difference between education and learning. Does anybody know the difference between education and learning? Education is like a vehicle, it's like a medium. And learning is lifelong learning. Learning is about understanding how to transform, how to make a judgment, how to make a decision. And that really is the main thing I'm going to talk here is education is all about exams, credentials, marks. We all have been there. We have done all-nighters. We have crammed for a result, exam. We crammed for A, and we got it. I passed out with chemistry honors when I graduated, and I did pretty well. I topped in the entire college way back 28 years ago. And if you ask me, I don't remember a single word about chemistry honors, what I learned there. And I'm not saying education is not important. Education is critical. You need credential, you need courses, you need marks, you need that to do well in life. But education is just a vehicle, and learning is the most important thing, which is transformational in nature. Learning tells you how to develop a judgment, how to build mental model. Learning tells you how to think. So if education is just about task, learning is much beyond that. And that's where you can really take help from AI. And AI tools have really revealed that gap between learning and education in a brutal way. If education is just about task, AI can do much better than you. AI can actually beat human on all exams, writing essay, solving problems. And we are discovering day by day how the scores are going up in terms of solving the world's biggest problems. So if you are focusing on just solving tasks, AI can do much better than that. But what AI cannot do, it cannot build your judgment, it cannot transform your learning. So the real question here is that, are you using AI to just solve problem, or are you using AI to transform your learning? So, and that's where I want to focus on the lifelong learning concept. Because education is like you are done with the graduation, maybe you do masters, maybe you do MBA, but that's the end of it. If you want to do, you can pursue PhD as well, but that's the end of it. So education is just what used to be a finish line, I call it a starting block, and that is the difference in today's world. So education stops there, and learning starts, and it goes lifelong. And that's where you have to understand, education gives you credentials, learning builds capability that go far beyond all the credentials you can get in life. And let me tell you one scary number, which is very funny and scary, I would say, at the same time. Like, as per World Economic Forum, half of today's skills will be obsolete in 2 years down the road. Just think about it. Somebody who graduated this year we'll be working on areas which will no longer be relevant. It will be obsolete in 2 years down the road. So what do you do? It's like going to a Tesla factory and going with a buggy and horse manual that you use in 1980s, 1800 or 1900. So that's where you have to keep on transforming, and that's where what I talk about lifelong learning. In today's world, the people who are going to thrive are not the people who have the most credential. They will be the people who can learn new skills fast. And I've seen that throughout, across industries. I have seen, and you may have read latest news about Accenture. Accenture CEO, and Accenture is a big company. They had about 700,000 people worldwide, one of the top management company. Everybody wants to be there. And their CEO said, I think last month, that we will let go people who cannot be reskilled. It's like company telling you, we love you, but if you can't learn faster, we love somebody else. Harsh, right? But that's real, and that's the reality of today. So it's very, very important that we need to move from a fixed knowledge that you learned in college and you're done. You need to learn lifelong. And there I want to talk about a new model, which is also very critical, what I call whole brain thinking. Has anybody heard of whole brain thinking? Raise your hand. Anybody knows whole brain thinking? So we have two brain, right? Left brain and right brain. Left brain is about your numbers, all the coding that you do, all the structured mental models you build. That's all about left brain. Right brain is about creativity. It's about engagement. It's about all the creativity that you can do. So all the exploration you can do. So we all are fan of left brain because that's much easier to do. We can build models, we can learn structures, equations, formulas, and we could do very well. We all have been doing very well with using left brain. But the people who do well are not the people who do left brain. They do holistic thinking, holistic learning, and what I call the whole brain learning. You got to activate your left brain and right brain at the same time and engage them, and that's what can really transform your learning. And with that, I want to talk about the next concept. And before I jump to the next concept here, I just want to highlight one more point about AI tools, that when you talk about whole brain learning, left brain and right brain, the AI tools are expert in left brain. If you ask it any structured problem, any coding, you can't do any better coding than AI tools most of the time. So AI tools have told us that they can beat humans on left brain thinking, but they cannot beat you on arts, on imagination, exploration, and thus the right brain thinking. So if you really want to be ahead in life, you want to be ahead of what people are using AI tools with, you want to be ahead of them, you have to use whole brain thinking. And that's where another concept I want to talk about, what is I call, or is known as T-shaped capability. Has anybody heard of T-shaped capability? Raise your hand. Anybody out here? So T-shaped is about, and if you just visualize a T shape, so there is a vertical line, which is where you create your depth. You create mastery in one subject, and that's your vertical line of the T. At the same time, you need to build your T, which means you need to learn so many other things, which become the horizontal line. So this is your T, depth in one area and horizontal expertise or expertise in multiple areas. We used to call it jack of all and master of none. Now it's about jack of all and master of some. So you need to build some depth here, and then you need to build capability across multiple different areas. And I'll give you my own example, like what I've done over the years. So if I go to my own example, my own history, I started my career in 1999. I started my career in market research, or what we call consumer insight. And over the years, I started learning more and more, started growing well in the company, changing companies, and doing well in other companies. So 1999 to 2018, I was working on consumer insight, and I did very well. Started in India in 99. 2004, I was in Singapore. 2007, I was regional lead for consumer insight at Asia Pacific at Mondelez, which used to be Kraft Foods that time. 2010, I went back to India as a head of consumer insight for Cadbury India. 2013, I was back to Singapore. I was then regional lead for EMEA, which is I call half the world, managing entire Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia for one company at Merck Consumer Care at that time as a head of consumer insight. So I did very well. And then 2016, I was part of J&J. I was global lead for best practices. So you can see starting my career locally in India, growing up to Singapore in regional roles, then growing to global role. I did pretty well. Whatever you could think of that time or aspire for, I achieved those in consumer insight. At the same time, I was seeing the winds of change. The market was changing. The AI tools were coming up there, and more than AI tool, it was data analytics that was changing the game. If you know about consumer insight or market research, we ask survey questions, we ask consumers, what are you going to do? And you know humans rationalize their responses. They don't do what they say, they don't say what they think. And the gap between think, say, do is very overt when you use the behavioral data. If you use the data, then you can see what actually they're using. If you ask a consumer, why did you buy Coke over Pepsi? They may give their own rational response. It tastes sweeter, it tastes this, or I'm used to this, and so on and so forth. But the real reason could be price. I don't know. In one country, maybe the price is so different between Coke and Pepsi, people are buying Coke there. Or the other reason could be that, like if you go to the Mexico, world's second largest consumer of Coke after US, and if you ask them, they say it's part of our life. We cannot have a meal without Coke in hand. And that's part of the game. It's nothing about price, it's nothing about flavor, it's nothing about taste, it's all about culture, it's all about the habit. So you need to understand real behavior, and that you can only understand with data analytics. So insight is always relevant. You can ask consumers some responses, and you can use that, but behavioral data is where the real power comes in. So 2010, very early in the industry, when people were still thinking about data analytics, I launched data analytics at Cadbury India. And then I started learning more, practicing more, and then I did very well in other area. So 2018, I was global head of core analytics at Coca-Cola, based out of US. 2019, I was head of data analytics at Nestlé USA as a vice president. Then 21, I shifted job, another company, similar role, head of the data analytics and vice president there. So you can see my T changed, even my depth, that was consumer insight for years to come. Then I shifted to data analytics. It's like having a dual major. You could have dual major, but more important thing is that it's not static. Even the T is not static. What you build a depth, you will need to see what's coming in the industry, and you need to build another T, another depth here, and that's what I did. In addition, building my depth from consumer insight to data analytics, I also built other capabilities. So 2010, when iPhone was still new, I learned Objective-C to build iOS apps. And 2010, I had 5 successful published app on App Store. That was my hobby, but I said that was giving me passion about coding and learning new skills. In 2015, I learned Python, R, JavaScript, HTML. I created few websites for my own company. I created many data science applications using R and Python. So that was, again, new skill, which has nothing to do with consumer insight, which is largely about using the survey data or data analytics, where we have data scientists to do it. I was VP head of the department. I didn't need to code myself, but it was important for me to understand the code, and therefore I learned those languages. I also learned the other side of equation, the right brain thinking. I learned about the training. And 2011, I was one of the regional trained moderator at Kraft Food Mondelez that time, and I trained people in 16 countries all over Asia Pacific. And you think about it, consumer insight, data analytics, and now I'm talking about training, which is typically a human resource domain, because you need different skill to train other people. I also learned in 2015 behavioral science, because the more and more I was using behavioral data as part of data analytics, I was seeing the power of behavioral science. And behavioral science teaches you many things that you don't understand just by the data itself. So I learned a new capability there. Then in 2022, and you have seen my career going really well. By 2021, I was VP and head of data analytics in 2 companies. I call it like I pretty much reached the pinnacle of my field. So I was like, this is my time to give back to the community, give back to the industry. And I took sabbatical to write 2 books. So I wrote 2 books and published 2 books on data analytics and AI in 2022. And then after that, I said, enough corporate world, now I need to venture on my own. And last year, I started my own company, dataelevate.ai, and that's what I'm running successfully this year, going really well, and I can talk more about in future. So the key message here is that you need to build your T. You cannot be just say, I majored in finance, that's the end of the world. You can't be static. You need to build your depth, but the depth could be another depth over the years, because things are changing so fast. And as we all say, that change is the only constant. So you need to continuously evolve, and at the same time, you need to build your horizontal skills. And this T-shaped capability is what going to differentiate. I call it that when you go to any interview, you have to first ask this question to yourself, who is going to face the interview? Is it Jit Papneja, or is it Jit plus plus plus? You need to have multiple things along with you that differentiate you from other people. So talking beyond T-shaped capability, and this may sound funny, but all of us have what I call human superpowers. And I'm not asking about web slinging like a Spider-Man. I'm not asking you to be Spider-Man. The God has given us, or AI tools also has amplified that superhuman skills that we have. We just need to know how to use that superhuman skills. And I would say there are 3 superhuman skills we have. One is about why, asking those why questions. It's about critical thinking. Most people ask, and with the AI tools evolving and doing so well, we all are becoming impatient. We want quick answer. But beyond quick answer, you need to understand why. You need to understand why this particular answer. We need to understand why this particular response coming from AI tools or any solution that you're working on. More why you ask, the better you become in terms of learning and thinking, and more comprehensive and useful your learning would be. So first superhuman component that you have that can really make you superhuman in that aspect with the help of AI tool is asking those why questions. Then the next is about who, because we all know that AI tools have biases. It has inherent hallucination. So you need to understand that who is going to benefit from this particular concept. Are there any ethical bias? Are there any racial bias? Are there any gender bias in the response? You need to understand who part that well as well. And third is about imagination. You need to understand what if, what we call scenario planning. What if we do this? What if we do that? Build hypotheses, check those out. If you're rushing to solve a problem, you are only scratching the surface of iceberg. You need to think deeper, you need to ask deeper, you need to explore different whys, different whos, and what if scenarios. And that is going to really make the difference between you and somebody who's going to be successful maybe much more than what you would do if you not follow that approach. Remember the story I talked about, the story of 2 marketing teams? So one used AI tools as a vending machine, give me a solution. Other use AI tool as a thinking tool, thinking partner, and that changed the game. So with that, you have a choice. So choice is about not accepting the first answer. When you ask a question to AI tool, you have to first understand that's great, but let's explore other AI tools potentially. Use other AI models. Ask why questions, ask who questions, ask what if questions. So never accept the first response. Dig deeper, and you may find a gold mine, a treasure trove that you never even thought of. So ask those questions. Don't accept the first response that you get. And after that, you need to also think about, are you using AI tool as a vending machine, as I said, or using as a thinking partner? And that's the choice you have. AI, you have to remember, AI is not your competition. AI is your partner, if you know how to use it rightfully. And that's the main thing I want to, and that's the main message I want to leave with here. And with that, I have a challenge for you. The challenge I will give you is that next time you have a questions in hand, next time you are trying to make a decision using AI tool, like for example, some of you will be majoring in computer science in future. So you may ask consumer or AI tools that, should I do a major in computer science? And AI tool will give it answer. But if you ask different question and say that, what if or what would a computer science professor, a burned down coder who has been tired of coding, or a tech CEO would say this or would answer this particular question? And some of you may have read a few days ago, our famous NVIDIA CEO said something. He said that if I were in college, I should not be pursuing computer science. I would be pursuing physical sciences. That's his opinion. That's one of the many perspectives. So AI tools can give you multitude of perspective, and that makes your thinking broader, transformational, that help you think deeper and develop judgment. So that really is the message I want to leave today, that are you ready to lead with AI, or are you just going to be a follower? Are you trying to use AI tool as a vending machine or as a thinking partner? And that decision, that choice is going to transform your thinking, your career, your lifelong learning, and your future which is yet to come. But if you start here, AI tool is your partner. It can really help you achieve big things in life. And with that, I thank you for your time.